As you know, we are on a series called Long Story Short. It's a Bible review from Genesis to Revelation. We're going to be looking at key Bible passages. Just to do a kind of recalling, we looked at Genesis 1, 2, and 3 to find out that God is the maker of everything that exists. He's the maker of the world. He's our maker. Genesis 3, we find out that we didn't like God. We rebelled against God. And as a result, we would not allow to live in a garden, in a perfect garden called Eden. However, in Genesis 12, God calls Moses. And he tells to Moses, "You're going to be the father of a multitude. Through you, all the nations are going to be blessed." And then, as a result, he leaves his family, he heads to this promised land, this new kind of Garden of Eden. But they end up in Egypt. Not in the promised land. They end up as slaves in Egypt. And I can see them asking one another, what promise is that? When is this promise going to be fulfilled? Is God trustworthy? Can we trust Him? He promised that we were going to be a blessing to the nations, that we were going to be in this promised and beautiful land, and here we are, working as slaves. But as we know, God doesn't change His mind. God doesn't break His promises. So one day He calls Moses. And we read in Exodus 3 that God calls Moses and He tells him to go to the Pharaoh, to the king of Egypt, and tell him, "Let my people go free." What did Pharaoh do? He said, "No way, this is not good for business. You're not going. You stay here." And God sends 10 plagues. 10 plagues to change Pharaoh's mind. And we would expect that these people who are now free from slavery, they would get to this promised land in 2 months maximum. But what happened? They wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. 40 years walking around and never getting to this promised land. Come on, God. When are you going to fulfill your promise? Moses, the one who was leading the people, dies. And God calls another leader. And He says, now is the time. Before we get to our Bible passage that's in Joshua chapter 1, let me ask you a question. What keeps you going when life looks like a battlefield? What keeps you fighting when it seems that your enemies, your problems, your tribulations are bigger than the God that you serve? You know that we live in a society, I call it the disposable society. It's the throwaway society. We throw away things when they are not useful anymore. We throw away things when life is difficult. In this disposable society, we don't fix broken things. We throw them away. That's why in London, wherever you go, you're going to find broken families. Spouses that don't want to keep their commitment because life is too difficult. Parents who don't care about their children. Do you know that by 2025, half of the teenagers in London won't know who their fathers are? They don't know And kids, they don't respect, they don't honor their parents anymore. We live in a society that is broken, that gives up too easily. But as Christians, we've got a mission here. Our Christian life is a battle. Whether you like it or not. One, not by quitting. It's not by giving up that we're going to win, but by fighting. That's why Jesus died on the cross. That's why Jesus did not quit. He went to the end to win this battle. And as Christians, as followers of Jesus, we don't quit. We go to the end. We put our boots on and we fight the good fight. So today, we're going to be looking at Exodus chapter 1, from verse 1 to verse 9. And what's my aim here? My aim is to point two key biblical principles for those who want to fight the good fight. Just for those who want to fight the good fight. What's my hope? My hope is that you may become more resilient to face this battle called life. Life is not easy, and we've got a mission to fulfill here. We have to make disciples. We don't give up. So my hope is that you become more resilient, so we can help, we can be God's tool here on earth, helping to fix this broken world. So first of all, Jesus is strengthening us. Jesus is strengthening us. He's going to give you the strength that you need. In Joshua chapter 1, verse 1 and 2, it says, after the death of Moses, the Lord's servant, the Lord spoke to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' assistant. He said, verse 2, Moses, my servant, is dead. Therefore, the time has come for you to lead these people, the Israelites, across the Jordan River into the land I'm giving them. As I said, the time has come. They were going to enter the promised land. Finally, the promise made to Abraham is going to be fulfilled. We're going to enter this promised land, and Joshua is going to be the leader as Moses has died. However, if you check in your Bible, in verse 9, God says to Joshua, Joshua, do not be afraid or discouraged. The time has finally come, and God is saying to Joshua, do not be discouraged, Joshua. Why would he be discouraged? Was it because they wandered in the wilderness for 40 years and he's tired? Why is he discouraged? Was it because he was afraid of the battle they had ahead? Because to enter the promised land, they had a battle to fight. Was that the reason why he was discouraged? Joshua was not tired of the long journey or afraid of the battle he had ahead. The battle he had to fight. So Joshua was probably discouraged to lead a group of people who would eventually abandon God. How do you know that, Alex? Well, my assumption is based on Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 14 and 17. Just for the sake of time, I'm not going to read everything, but let me highlight something for you. God talks to Moses, and he informs Moses that he's not going to enter the promised land. And then in verse 16 he says, after you've gone, Moses, these people will begin to worship foreign gods. the gods of the land where they are going. Verse 17, part B. I will abandon them, hiding my face from them, and they will be devoured. In simple terms, God was saying, I made a promise to you. Joshua is going to lead my people to the promised land in order to have my promise fulfilled. But here's the thing, Joshua and Moses. The people that I love, the people I'm giving this promised land, they are going to betray me. They are going to abandon me. They are going to be ungrateful. So that's why I think he is discouraged. How did God encourage Joshua? Well, God reassured Joshua that he wouldn't abandon him. God made sure Joshua knew that he would never leave him. So in Joshua chapter 1 verse 5 and 9, God says, no one will be able to stand against you as long as you live. For I will be with you, as I was with Moses. I will not fail you or abandon you. Verse 9. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. So Joshua, I know you are afraid. I know you are discouraged because you know that this battle you have ahead, it's going to be pointless because the people who are benefiting from this battle don't even care. They don't even love the God who is winning this battle for them. But don't be discouraged. I will never abandon you. What is the lesson for us? Jesus strengthens us when we rely on Him. He's going to give you the strength that you need when you do the same thing that Joshua did. Joshua relied on God. He did not rely on his own strength. That's why he was discouraged. I can't do this alone. And God was saying, I know, but don't be discouraged. I am with you. I won't let you. I won't leave you. I won't leave you. I will be with you. So when we fight in battles, we need to keep that in mind. Don't rely on your own strength. Because if you do, you're going to get discouraged. Does it make sense what I'm saying here? If you rely on your own strength, you are going to get discouraged. Write down this lesson, please. Jesus strengthens us when we rely on Him. Although my family hasn't been here for a long time, we've got a tradition here in London, okay? Every winter in December, we go to Winter Wonderland. And if you know me, you know that this is not the place, this is not the kind of place I like to be. I don't like those heights, right? I don't like roller coasters, okay? But when Hannah was born, Alwana could not come with us to the Winter Wonderland, so we could keep the tradition. So I had to take Zara on my own. What does it mean? It means that I had to go with her on those heights, on a roller coaster. And I had to be brave, right? I could not get discouraged. I could not get afraid, because I am Zara's father. And we got on a roller coaster. And I close my eyes, because that's what I do when I'm on one of those heights. I close my eyes and I wait to the end, to finish. I don't like it at all. But as I was there with my eyes closed, I heard someone shouting, screaming, "Help! Help! Help!" And when I look at my side, I realized that Zara was screaming and crying, saying, "I don't want to be here, I don't want to be here." And I was thinking, "Me neither, but here I am." And as a father, I had to encourage her, right? She was getting very afraid, discouraged, and I had to encourage her. And I said, "Don't worry, Dad is here. I'm here with you, don't worry." She looked at me, she kept screaming, "No, you! Jesus, Jesus, help me, help me!" And when we came down, I said to her, "Well done, well done. You did not rely on my strength. You knew that I could not save you. But you knew who could save you. You called for the right person. Well done, Zara. Well done." So God only abandons those who reject Him first. That is the reason why tribulations bring those who love God close to Him and send those who love idols far away from Him. Zara knew that by getting close to Jesus, He could give her the strength that she needed. Not only on roller coasters, but for anything in her life. So we need to understand that if we love God, tribulations are not bad things. They actually bring us close to Jesus. Because it's when we rely not on our strength, but on His strength. It's when He helps us. It's when He encourages us. However, those who do not love God, guess what? They are abandoned by Him. What tribulations are you facing at the moment? Are they separating you from God, from Jesus, or bringing you close to Him? The tribulations that you are facing, what are they doing to you? They discouraging you in such a way that you just separating yourself from Jesus, or are the tribulations bringing you closer to Him? If you love Jesus, you can trust Him. He never sends you into a situation alone. He said that in Matthew 28, verse 20. "I will be with you to the end." He promised to always be with you. He goes before you. He stands beside you. He walks behind you. He's always with you. Always. Therefore, when facing hardships, tribulations, battles, instead of having faith in your circumstance, have faith in Jesus. Stop putting your faith in problems. Don't make your problems bigger than your Jesus. Your tribulations can't be bigger than Jesus. So put your faith in Jesus, not in your problems. Instead of grumbling against Jesus, instead of turning against Him, turn to Him in prayer. I said that here before. Please, when life is difficult, don't blame Jesus. Turn to Him in prayer, saying, "Please help me. My emotions are trying to take control of my mind. Can you help me, Jesus? Can you help me to have my mind at the right place, having the right kinds of thinking?" So Jesus strengthens us when we rely on Him. Second lesson. But also, Jesus guides you. He guides you. He gives you strength, but He also guides you. Let's read Joshua chapter 1, verse 3 to 4. Here's what it says. God talking, "I promised you what I promised Moses. Wherever you set foot, you'll be on land I have given you. from the Negev wilderness in the south of the Lebanon mountains in the north, from the Euphrates River in the east of the Mediterranean Sea in the west, including all the land of the Hittites. However, again, it seems that God is reading Joshua's mind, right? In verse 6 he says, Joshua, be strong and courageous. Verse 7, he says that for the second time. Be strong and very courageous. And in verse 9, he repeats the same thing. This is my command. Be strong and courageous, Joshua. Why did God repeat himself 3 times to Joshua? Why? Why did God have to say 3 times, be strong and courageous, be strong and courageous, be strong and courageous? Did Joshua have any kind of hearing problem? Maybe, right? Maybe Joshua was not listening properly, or he was one of those students who don't pay attention. And God, as a good teacher, he was like, let me repeat myself here to make sure my student understand what I'm saying. Be strong and courageous. Was that the reason why God repeated himself 3 times? Here's my assumption. Joshua did not have hearing problems or lacked attention. Joshua was probably afraid of failing in the same way his predecessor Moses had failed before. He was discouraged to be leading a group of people who did not love God, and maybe he was afraid of making the same mistake Moses made. What are you talking about, Alex? Well, in Deuteronomy chapter 32, from verse 48 to 52, we are told why Moses did not enter the promised land. God told him to obey him, and he disobeyed God. And in verse 51, he says that he betrayed him. Moses betrayed God by disobeying him. You failed to demonstrate my holiness to the people of Israel. So people were complaining, grumbling, how we don't have water. It would be better to stay in Egypt where we had water. It would be better to be slaves than to be in this wilderness without water. And they put a lot of pressure on the leader, Moses. Come on, Moses. Did you bring us here to die? There was no water. They were going to die. So Moses speaks to God and he says, you see, the people, they're going to kill me. They're going to kill me if I don't provide them water. And God tells him, okay, get your staff and tell to the rock to come out water of it. He listens to God, he goes to the rock. What does he do? He uses his staff and he hits the rock. And water comes out. Isn't that amazing? Water comes out of a rock. And they all drink water. What was wrong here? He said, just speak to the rock. And in anger, he hits the rock. And God says, you let your emotion to take control of your reason. I told you something and you did the opposite. You relied on your own strength instead of relying on me. Now, Moses, you're not going to enter the promised land. You're going to die here. Alex, this is not fair. Oh, God is holy. Let me repeat it. God is holy. You better listen to Him and obey Him. Because a small mistake is enough. Sin is sin for God. Okay? There is no big sin, small sin for God. Sin is sin. And He says, you fail to demonstrate my holiness. You are the leader, and you fail to demonstrate holiness to my people. You don't represent me anymore, Moses. So you will see the land from a distance, but you may not enter the land I'm giving to the people of Israel. So Moses is afraid, right? I would be afraid, because I know I was going to make mistakes. As a leader, I know I'm not going to represent God as I should. So how did God encourage Joshua to face his fear? God reassured Joshua that his obedience was all he needed to succeed. Joshua, don't you want to fail? Just listen to me and obey me. Joshua, don't you want to fail? Listen and obey. Simple. Don't listen to yourself. Don't listen to your heart. Listen to me. So in verse 7b and 8, Joshua chapter 1, he says, be careful to obey all the instructions Moses gave you. Do not deviate from them, turning either to the right or to the left. Then you will be successful in everything you do. Verse 8. Study this book of instruction continually. Meditate on it day and night, so you will be sure to obey everything I have written in it. Only then you will prosper and succeed in all you do. What is the lesson here for us? Jesus, He guides us. Jesus guides you when you listen to Him. Write that down, please. Jesus guides you when you listen to Him. If you refuse to listen to Him, you are guiding yourself instead of being guided by God. Does it make sense? One day, a man was walking in the darkness on a cliff and he fell. And as he was falling, he prayed, God, please help me. And as he prayed, he managed to grab a tree that was sprouting out of the cliff. He grabbed it and he thanked God. Oh, thank you very much. I won't die. But as he was grabbing there, he was like, okay, how am I going to get out of here? And he began to shout, help, help, can someone help? And he prayed again, God, please, you need to help me. And as he prayed, God spoke to him. He said, let it go. I'm sorry, God. Let it go. I'm going to catch you. He thought for a while, and he began to scream and say, is anyone there? Is anyone there who could save me? He didn't want to listen to God. He didn't want to obey God. He didn't trust God. He didn't have faith to listen and obey. For him, that was not a good idea. Come on, God. I have a bad idea. I don't want to listen to you. To refuse to listen to God is to choose ignorance. And ignorance often leads us to despair. He was so afraid that he said, this is not a good idea. This is not a good idea. How is God going to save me? How is God going to touch me? I don't know what the plan is. I don't trust you, God. So to refuse to listen to God is to choose ignorance. Sometimes you don't know why God is saying what He's saying, and you refuse to listen to Him. You know what? I don't get it. I don't want to listen to you anymore. And that leads to despair. Who am I going to listen now if I don't want to listen to God? What are your fears at the moment? Are they leading you to God or leading you to despair? Are your fears leading you to despair or to God? If you don't know what the future holds, but if you know Jesus, you know the one who controls the future, right? In other words, if you read this book and things are not clear, you obey, even though it's not 100% clear in your mind. Or you say, you know what? It doesn't make sense. Thank you very much. I don't want to listen to you. I would rather be ignorant than to get more knowledge about you. However, if you put your trust on the one that knows the future, that knows even the things that you don't know, here's what you need to do. Kick out fear from your mind, okay? By studying the Bible systematically to gain knowledge with your mind. That's what God said to Joshua. Study this book, study these instructions. Study it. And for us, it means study this book. Study this book. Otherwise, you won't understand who God is. You won't understand what He wants from you. But systematically, from Genesis to Revelation. Don't just pick a verse. Read the entire Bible. Have a Bible plan. Have a Bible plan. How many chapters are you going to read per day? Have a systematic plan so your mind can be filled with the right knowledge. Also, meditate on the Bible, but carefully, so your heart can be transformed. Do you know what's the difference between to study the Bible and to meditate on it? Do you have an idea? To meditate the Bible is to study it, gain their knowledge, and go back to that knowledge. Okay, what else can I take it out from it? What else is this Bible passage saying? And God said to Joshua, meditate on it day and night, day and night, day and night. So to meditate is not only to gain knowledge, it's to go back there to the knowledge that you gained and say, okay, God, please, I've got this knowledge in my mind. Can you please shape my heart now? So I can be transformed. Thirdly, and most important, obey the Bible with all your heart to make a difference wherever you go. Study the Bible so you can get the right knowledge. Meditate on it so your heart can be transformed. But put it into practice. Obey it. If you don't obey it, all the knowledge, it's in vain. All this time you're spending here, it's worthless. Because the reason why we study the Bible, we meditate on it, is to put into practice outside. To obey it. So this broken world can be fixed by God's tools. We are His tools here. To conclude, Jesus strengthens us when we rely on Him, and He guides us when we listen to Him. So as I said, don't rely on your own strength. Rely on Jesus, because He's got the strength that you need. Don't listen to yourself. Don't listen to yourself. Your heart is deceitful. Listen to Jesus. He knows what the best is for you. Not only now, but for your future as well. He knows more than you know. So listen to him so he can guide you. Let me pray. Father God, we thank you for the Bible, because it's through the Bible that we can know you and our hearts can be transformed so we can put into practice what we learn through it. Would you please help us to fight the good fight? Would you please help us to fight this battle called life in a way that we bring glory to your name, Father? Help us whenever we are discouraged. Help us whenever we are afraid, as Joshua was, Father. Would you please remind us day and night that you are always with us, that you would never abandon us. Would you please constantly remind us that we need to be strong in you. We need to be courageous in you. Would you please guide us, Father? I pray in Jesus' name, amen.